Hey guys, let's talk a little bit about the most recent ruling in the Vic Mignogna case regarding attorney's fees and sanctions. So it looks like each defendant is going to get about $50,000 in attorney's fees plus about $5,000 in additional sanctions. And of course, that's a lot of money, and it could be double that if things go to appeal, which it looks like it very well will go to appeal. So total about $300,000 that Vic would be on the hook for if he does in fact lose on appeal. That is a lot of money. However, at the same time, it is kind of a small victory for Vic and a little bit of a loss for the defendants because the defendants asked for a lot more. And it did appear earlier on in the case that the judge was not at all sympathetic to Vic and that he would just kind of give the defendants whatever they asked for. So my take on this is that you shouldn't read into it too much. I think that somehow lost in all this is that, yes, it is perhaps less money than the defendants were asking for, but it is still a lot of money. And when you take a look at who these parties are, I think it is perfectly fair given what the judge has ruled previously. Like, I do agree that Vic has enough evidence to get past the TCPA stage and that the judge did rule incorrectly saying that they didn't, but given what the judge had ruled already, I think the amount of attorney's fees and sanctions is quite modest, quite reasonable, and that you shouldn't look at it too closely to try to read into what the judge is thinking here. I mean, when you consider what the purpose of a TCPA or an anti-SLAPP law is in general, it's basically to prevent a party with a lot of money from silencing a party with not a lot of money. Basically, this is targeted at politicians, celebrities, perhaps large corporations from silencing the average Joe who can't afford a prolonged lawsuit. So the idea is to cut costs as much as they possibly can. However, in this particular suit, you don't really have that. You have one voice actor suing other voice actors and a corporation. This is kind of a fair fight. It's not really what's contemplated by the TCPA in having different parties who really have a disparate amount of wealth or power going up against each other. So $300,000 is a lot of money already. I don't think the judge really wanted to add on top of that or saw any need to really add much on top of that. Plus, the fact is, in this case, there could very well be changes on appeal. It's been my position all along that Vic does have enough evidence in the record to support getting past the TCPA stage. I don't know how he would do actually at trial, but at least at the TCPA stage, this lawsuit appears to be non-frivolous to me. The judge is perhaps coming around on that, but I don't think we should read too much into it. I think he just wants to let the appeals court decide this, because regardless of what happens, the appeals court is going to take a look at this because each party does have an incentive to appeal, and it is perhaps most efficient to just let the appeals court decide everything right now. So I think the judge just wants to get this off his plate as uncontroversially as he possibly can and just let the appeals court do whatever they have to do. So small victory for Vic, but overall I think it is quite moderate, quite reasonable, and ultimately whatever happens in appeals is going to decide where this case goes in the future.